Welcome back to the last episode of Deconstruction Evolution, the first episode of Oculus Draco. We're going to be in kind of a transition here in a few different ways. Part of the reason for this weekly reading is to help guide with those energies and to announce the transition of the channel. I'm going to have a whole new channel altogether. It's going to be a different link and all of that. So please migrate to that. It will be called Oculus Draco. And this is going to be a weekly, mostly intuitive, but guided by the cards reading for the week of November 17th through the 24th. I'm showing you my setup here. Let me go ahead and flip the camera around. Peace. How you all doing? Now, doing this slightly different for a few reasons. I'm in my own transition, a couple of different ways. And you gotta make space to do the works. So that's what I'm doing. So let's see what these energies have for us today. I'm gonna mostly be doing intuitive, but I am gonna be using the decks that y'all have seen me use before, mostly focused on inner work, shadow work, especially with this full moon that just passed. And this is going to be for the week of November 17th, 2024 through November 23rd, 2024. It's going to be mostly short, just to get a quick little guide of what the energies may be having for us in the next few days. So, see what's going on. I haven't pulled any cards yet, but I have just cleared the energies. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the cards and then turn this camera back on. See you in a second. All right, we are back. Peace, shalom, hotep, namaste, love and light, and all the other grand greetings out there that allow for us to interact and acknowledge the divine spark in us all. Now, we are going to go over a quick summary of a few things. I know normally I let y'all see me pull the cards, but this is going to be a more condensed version, trying to be a little bit more efficient here. So, let's see what we got going on. These are still organically pulled. And organically, well, first off, let's go over the planets for today, right? I'm going to let y'all get a look at these for those who already are decent in astrology. Mind you, this deck is called the Deviant Moon Tarot. And it's basically about our shadow work and all of the emotional sides and the intuitive sides and stuff that the moon governs. All those things that we even try to hide from and whatnot. That's what this deck deals with, which is why I use that to be the main interpretation for the week. This is going to be the beginning of the week, midweek, and ending of the week here. This is going to be the type of energies that we are dealing with as far as our own selves and those whom we interact with. And this is going to be the overall way we should be focusing / the ultimate, not goal per se, but this is going to be the summary of how the week should pretty much play out when you take in all the pieces, right? So it's kind of a path to look forward to, but also a pre-understanding that there's more going on. Let me not get ahead of myself. So I am going to leave this here. We already know Anubis is just the key card, opening it up, keeping everything okay. Leave this here while I go over the current planetary positions which are Sun in Scorpio, Moon in Gemini, Mercury in Sag, Venus in Capricorn, Mars in Leo, Jupiter in Gemini retrograde, Saturn in Pisces, Uranus in Taurus, retrograde, Neptune in Pisces, retrograde, and Pluto in Capricorn. So let's keep that in mind. Oh, also, we have the wounded healer Chiron, who is in Aries. So that's not only going retrograde, but being in Aries as Chiron, it can be interesting regardless of which direction we're going. But this is going to be more of a tarot reading and an intuitional reading instead of me breaking down what each planets are doing for us today. We might get more into that in the next video. All right, so let's get into these cards. So the beginning of the week, we got the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles is telling us that there will be a gracious host, luxury, affluence. A gracious hostess, luxury, affluence, charity, and generosity. These are the different energies that this is telling us we're going to be coming into between today, tomorrow, into Tuesday. What form this takes is not necessarily going to be a person. It could even be how you need to be dealing with yourself, depending on your personal situation. But in a general sense, expect to be welcomed in most areas that you try to put yourself in, even if it's just a phone conversation, whether it's with friends, business, or an endeavor you're trying to do. There should be some welcoming energy initially. That's what we're looking at here. Now, we got the 4 of Pentacles reversed. This is actually telling us that there will be material delays, hardships in business, and other affairs. Mostly business affairs. So by midweek, we're gonna kind of get some steam out of our engines, it seems here. One thing I will say with that is within the transition towards Sagittarius, we are in the last few degrees here coming up. As we get into the transition of Sagittarius, plus with the full moon ending, there's a few different counter-reactive energies going on. So you'll definitely see a random, almost like you're driving down the road. Why did my car just shut off? I know I just put gas in it. Nothing seems to be, but something choked up in the system you didn't know. Maybe the air filter or something like that. There's going to be something really small that's going to cause a significant enough either hampering within your movements or a complete delay, needing to reschedule, things like that. But do not let it deter you, especially because we got the World ending off the week. The World is telling us that this is a completion of a cycle or a journey, new beginnings and awakenings. This is telling you that regardless of either of these and how this manifests, right? Which we'll get into that meaning in a second. You are manifesting. You are learning. Whatever it is that you're learning and manifesting is almost via your perspective. The world in itself is learning new things, and we are trying to understand old paradigms more so than break old paradigms. We are trying to reestablish a foundation of true understanding and purpose in life. And in order to do that, we have to go through these cycles. And this week, in this transition in the Sagittarius, the philosopher, is teaching us that. It's teaching us to take in our own willpower and use it for what it is. We have the whole world to play with. Let's do that. Cosmic influences speaks for itself. I will not get into that. We have gone over this card not only a couple times. I want your interpretation for what cosmic influences mean to you to resonate. As far as the world itself, there's a lot of chaos, whether it's in the markets or dealing with these politics and these different elections that have gone on in various countries over the last several months. There's a lot of division, and everybody seems to be pointing fingers at the most convenient, mundane, and or what seems to be logical explanation. But there is always something bigger at work, especially right now. There is a major change happening. Anybody who does any work like this is saying this for more than just rhetoric. This is not us beating a dead horse or reading from the same script. Well, in a way, it is us reading from the same script, because we are tapping into the matrix, the Akashic records, the universal mind. The energy that supports us all is infinite with all information. We just have to access it. Now, the problem of that are these energies. These energies are telling us that we're going mostly off of instinctive intellect, that our mind is without direction, and that there might be a shallow grasp of matters as a whole. As the Sword Princess, the Air Palace, we are finding a grounding within our thought process, but it's a little difficult. Whether there's certain things in our way that's blinding us, or we're getting in our own way. We have been detached, whether it's good or bad, or whether we feel it's necessity. There is a veil, almost like a mist. Since we're going to deal with the air, let's say that there's a mist going on that's preventing us from being able to see the whole picture, or even breathe deeply enough to be able to have the energy to function. We get so much energy. We get life from breath. Spirit means breath. Well, right now, we can't even trust our breath, let alone our minds. And we're going to run into a lot of people dealing with this. So since we are all dealing with this, be very careful of all of your interactions, especially in business. Be very careful with all of your interpretations, especially because this is a journey, a full cycle journey. There is more than one way that any road can go. And most roadblocks have ways to circumvent themselves, or to be circumvented, let's say. So that's what these energies are telling us. That's our little roadmap for the week. Keep in mind also, talking about the energies being in air, the moon just having its full moon cycle completion. Depending on how you want to start it, whether you want to say the full moon is the beginning and the end, which technically it is the end. It has done that in Gemini. Gemini, we already know, can have two conflicting, truthful energies at once. We must pick a direction. Both energies cannot lead. And understand that everybody's not going to be able to recognize that, and understand that the earth as a whole is going through that. So even if you and your inner circle, you and those you care about, are doing the necessary steps, there is still cosmic influences that may or may not be favorable to us in our current circumstances. This is all a part of the transition. Let's take it one step at a time, people. The planet of fortune is in retrograde, in Gemini, so conflicting energies. I don't want to go too much into the astrology aspect, other than since Pentacles kept coming up and it was talking about business affairs, let's speak on Venus and Saturn, because Venus is actually in Capricorn, ran by Saturn, which also runs business and structure. Venus also, in itself, runs relationships, partnerships of all kinds, including business, magical, and whatnot. Venus being in Capricorn means we are going through a restructuring, a whole journey, a whole cycle. And it's not going to be great. It's not going to feel good. Not all the time. But there's going to be aspects of that. There's going to be aspects of feeling good. You're going to feel welcomed, as well as hindered. Conflicting energies. So, keep in mind that Saturn itself is in Pisces. Two fish moving in opposite directions. So our structure, which is usually grounded in land, right now has the watery influence of Pisces with its conflicting energies. The good thing about Pisces, it encompasses every sign. Water is malleable. Be water, my friend. Whatever that means for you, be water. Pick your vessels properly and know that your vessels may have to change from time to time. Know that you might have to spread yourself out just to be able to recondense. So, I hope that helps someone and everybody who is hearing my voice right now. This is the last episode of Deconstruction Evolution, the first episode of Oculus Draco, in partnership with Mindful Mentality. More on that soon. Peace. Shalom. Namaste. Hotep. Love and light to all.